This is my brand new 2005 Porsche 911 Carrera S. And when I bought this car on Haggerty's auction site, I asked, is everything okay with it? In other words, does everything work? So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything that is wrong with it, and of course, everything that's right with it. Let's start with the most important part. How much did I pay for this car? Now, Porsches, especially 911 997.1s, have gotten very expensive because to some, this is the most beautiful 911 ever built. It's still relatively small, it has that classic analog feel, and it's the car that a lot of people want. Okay, to be fair, a lot of people want the 997.2 because this car can have IMS issues and bore scoring issues, and we'll get to that in a second. But this was on Haggerty's auction site, and I bid it up to about $29,000. It didn't meet reserve, and that's when the Haggerty representative called me and said, with auction fees, if you pay $35,000 for this, it's all yours. Now, of course, during the auction, there was no paperwork on it, but after the auction, the owner provided the paperwork showing that the IMS had been replaced, that the compression was good, thus alleviating the fear of bore scoring and IMS issues, so I agreed to buy it for $35,000, but I did ask, what else is wrong with them? They said, no, it's a great car, so you should be happy. But there are issues, as there are with all old cars. So let's start with the most obvious one, which I didn't even notice. Look at this window right here. It is beautifully darkened to match the dark blue, or some say purple, of the car. But if you go to this side, this window is not tinted. Don't ask me why the driver's side window has tinting and the passenger side doesn't, but it could do with the fact that you can see that this is open right now. And the reason for that being open is when I open this, this window should open to allow the glass to not hit on the frame, and it does, but then when you close it, it doesn't come back up. In fact, a common problem with these 997s, especially one that has over 100,000 miles, it says 103,000 miles, is that this window switch fails. And so the regulator on this side is busted, and that is, well, that is no good because sometimes it closes and sometimes it doesn't. In the winter, that could be a problem. Issue number two, which I didn't realize until I tried moving the driver's seat, and these are nice seats, they are the sports seats, full leather. But there is an issue, and that is when I try to move the seat back and forth, instead of going back and forth, it goes left or it goes right. In other words, the motor on that side is either not working or stuck, making it impossible to move the seat back and forth. And that is a pretty big issue because if my lovely wife sits in this and all of a sudden she tilts toward me and she wants to tilt away from me, it's going to be uncomfortable. So that's number two in the things that don't work in this car. Now, number three and number four are interesting because number three isn't a big deal, but number four is. Let me show you. Of course, when I start up the car, the infotainment boots up, but because this car does have a CD player and a CD changer, which is in the front, there is a problem, as you can tell. System error, CD changer not available. So every time I start up the car, I gotta hit enter to actually get to the main screen so that I don't see that error. That's not such a big deal. It's just kind of an annoyance. Something's going on between the infotainment and the CD changer. In fact, I know the CD player works because I have tried it. I have not tried the CD changer, but it's annoying. But the more important one is this one. This is where normally you would squirt your windshield. And in Colorado in the winter, you're gonna have to squirt your windshield, but as you can see, I'm not squirting anything. And that's gonna be a problem that can be very dangerous because I have had cars from California where the squirter nozzles have frozen because people have poured water in there instead of the usual squirty stuff that has alcohol in it to keep it from freezing. Of course, I filled this up, made sure that there was proper fluid in there. It still doesn't work. And that problem maybe has something to do with the next problem. Let me show you. The great thing about this car is that it came highly optioned. And today it's 58 degrees outside, so I don't really need the heated seats, but if I did want to use them, both the driver's side and the passenger side do not work because these little buttons right there would light up. They're dual temperature, a low and a high, and unfortunately neither the passenger or the driver's seat work, which suggests that this is not a heated seat issue, but maybe a fuse issue. The home link also doesn't work. So this is a garage door opener, and the way that this would work is when you hit this button, let's say that one, those lights would flash, allowing you to open your garage door, and none of these flash. And when you try to reset them, they should also flash quickly so that you can delete the codes that are stored in that. None of that works. Now, all three of these problems could be connected. I did some research, and the internet says that this could be because when the battery goes dead in the car, this old infotainment system forgets what options the car came with. In other words, it forgets that it had the home link, it forgets that it had the heated seats, and so it doesn't know that these options exist. And so you have to go to a Porsche dealer or a shop where basically they reprogram the computer so that it knows that these options exist in the car. Or the other thing that the internet said was that there's a big fuse, because I checked the smaller fuses which are down here, but apparently there's another fuse by the glove box which is a much more powerful 80 amp fuse which might be blown, which then controls the squirty function, because apparently that draws more power than the 15 or 20 amp fuses that are here next to my left leg. If you know, or if you've had this problem and you can tell me either is it the fuse or is it the computer, please let me know in the comments below, because I do want to get this fixed, and some of this stuff I can do myself. I just don't know which of those two issues it is. So let's talk about the stuff that's good. Chances are, if you're looking for your dream Porsche, be it a 997.1 or 997.2, you're looking for the perfect car. In other words, low miles, one owner, no accidents. I was looking for a daily driver. So to me, the fact that it had 103 or has 103,000 miles did not scare me. And that's because I knew that this was a car that had been driven and that with the proper documentation had been taken care of. One of the things that was perhaps bad on this car was that it had a Carfax that suggested or said that it had been in 2 accidents, and I think that is true, and I'll show you why. Because if you pop the frunk and open up the hood, there should be a sticker here which kind of details the paint color, what came on the car. Of course, that sticker isn't there, so that to me suggests that this hood has been replaced. And I'm not that scared of car accidents as long as there has not been an airbag deployment. In other words, where the potential of somehow messing up the chassis of the car has not happened, then an accident, especially on a 103,000 mile car, is probably par for the course. And so if it's repaired well, and if the paint has been matched, and if there's not a lot of orange peel in this paint, I'm not too stressed by it. But I do have what I believe is a replacement hood. One of the great things is that it has this sticker which says made in Germany. So I suspect if this has been replaced with a new hood, it is OEM part, which tells me that whoever had this car loved it a lot, and that is good enough for me, especially for a car that I intend to use as a daily driver. It's not a collectible classic. In other words, I'm not going to store it in the barn and take it out over the weekends. I am going to drive it. I'm going to take it skiing. I'm going to use it for what it was meant to be used. And so a driver quality car, if it's been repaired well, don't be afraid of it. Of course, the thing that scares many people off from both the 996 Porsche and the 997.1 is an issue with the engine. There are in fact 2 issues. First and foremost is the IMS bearing, intermediate shaft bearing, and that is a shaft that comes out between the engine and the transmission. And the good news is that I have a stack of papers about 2 inches tall showing me all the work that was done on this car. And 4,000 miles ago, not only was the transmission replaced, but the IMS bearing was replaced. And when they did that, they also did a compression test on the cylinders, and that's one of the ways you can tell if there's bore scoring. If there's bad compression, then there's probably bore scoring, and this car came back with good compression. So everything mechanically, at least from the paperwork that I have, suggests to me that this car was loved, it was well taken care of, and even though it was involved in an accident, and even though it has over 103,000 miles, and even though the squirty function doesn't work, heated seats don't work, as a driver, this car, I think, is relatively sorted. In order to buy this car, I am selling my 1987 G-Body, which I've had for 4 years, and I've put about $75,000 into. I'm selling it for $60,000 because, well, that's the value of the car. You can check out that car on the link below. I've given it to a local dealership. But the lesson I learned from the 87 is you don't want a Porsche, at least I don't want a Porsche that is too precious. I spent a lot of time and energy and money putting a lot of effort into that car, making it as nice as I could. But at the end of the day, really what I wanted was something that I could drive and I could not be afraid of when I park it at the local Sam's Club. With that car, especially being an 87, it's gotten to the point where it's collectible and it's somewhat rare and it's almost too precious. And I always felt bad driving it. With this car, because of its history, I can just, like I said, take it to Sam's Club or take it skiing and not worry about somebody doing a door ding, because this car has lived a full life. And the best part about it is, well, let me show you. Let's get behind the wheel. Oh, one other problem. Come here, I'll show you. It's missing a little trim piece right there. So yeah, I'll probably get that, because every time I get in the car I see that, and that really does bug me, and I think it's just a little piece of plastic that covers up that. I'm sure you've heard the saying, when the top goes down, the price goes up. And while that's true for many classic and older cars, it is certainly not the case with 911s. In fact, with the 911, it's the exact opposite. If the top goes down, the price goes down, because most people, when they buy 911, they want either from an aesthetic look, the classic silhouette of the 911, or from a performance look, they want the solidity that a hard top provides. The other thing about especially 997s, .1s, is that you don't want, in my opinion, the automatic. The automatic was a traditional automatic, and it didn't exactly pair all that well with the powertrain, in other words, with the engine, especially in the S. It wasn't until the 997.2, which I believe came around in 2010, that the car got the PDK, in other words, the dual clutch, and at that point, of course, it's a much more track-worthy car. So in these early 997.1s, you definitely want the manual transmission, and in fact, I think in most 911s, especially today, most people want the manual transmission. So the cheapest cars are, of course, convertibles with an automatic, and then as you go up in price, you go up with the hard top, and then you go up with the manual, and they get more expensive. And finding a hard top with a manual is a little tricky. A lot of the cars I was looking at were either convertibles or... See, that window closes. See? I can't close that window. This is a problem. There we go. No, now it just came down. It goes down, but it won't go up. I have to sort this. Like I was saying, a lot of the cars I were looking at were either convertibles or automatics. And it's great to have a car that is a manual with the hardtop, even if the window doesn't want to go up. Now this is when you would want a heated seat, so that when the window stays down, you can crank up the heated seat and actually have it work. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Roman, this is a great example of why not to buy a car on an auction site, because things like, you know, the window not working are kind of deal breakers. But you know what? You could buy a Pebble Beach car that has won the best award that Pebble Beach has to offer, and there will still be 7 things wrong with it. This is just the way it is in classic or old cars. So I always expect that when I buy a car like this, I set aside at least $5,000 to fix the stuff that's going to be wrong, because I know there's going to be stuff that is wrong. And half the fun, at least for me, is like fixing the car. So even though I would be losing money on that old G-body car, I'm not too upset by it, because I had a lot of fun fixing it. I had a lot of fun bringing it back to what I think is its former glory, and I'm going to do the same for this car. So yeah, right now, not great that that window doesn't come up, but at the end of the day, that's what makes it such an enjoyable hobby and such an enjoyable thing to own. It's not always about just driving it. It's not always about just, you know, finding it and buying it. Oftentimes, it's about fixing it and making it great again. And that's what's going to happen with this car, so that I can then daily drive it. Even though at some point that window will come back up. I think you just have to open the door, you have to somehow fiddle with the door. So if you find a Porsche out there that you love and it's not perfect and it doesn't have bore scoring or IMS issues, because those two will be a lot more expensive than $5,000, then I say if you like fixing them, go get yourself one. As always, this is Roman saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I've got a hell of a car to drive. Ciao. Okay, I'll close it. Come on. I get it to work before. Open it again. Okay, I'll close it. There it goes. Look at that. Look at that, Ian. Uh-oh. Close it. Ha ha! Fixed. Here, the trick is just never have a passenger. Or never open the passenger side door. And you don't have to fix it. That'll be fun fixing it. Apparently, that's a kind of a do-it-yourself project. And with, you know, Christmas just around the corner, I've got some time off. So I'm looking forward to making this car my own.